This video is sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, build your online presence with Squarespace. Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay and welcome to another sculpting video. If you're new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. Today I'm turning this somewhat innocent peekaboo elf guy animatronic thing into a creepy goblin elf. So we're gonna keep the same like motion and tongue shaking action, and we're going to sculpt around it and make it into a creepy goblin character. It actually turns out pretty cool, and I use paper clay for the first time, so you get to see that. I actually really enjoy this stuff, and I will tell you more about it throughout the video. And before we get started, don't forget to grab your very own Holiday Hellion. This is my parody of the you-know-who on the you-know-what. He is available right now at aceofclay.com. Just like all of my plushes, he is super high quality. He's made from plush microfiber, felt, he's got real fuzzy hair, plastic eyes, and he comes with a little hang tag with a creepy little poem that's kind of like a play on The Night Before Christmas. So if you want one, head on over to aceofclay.com, link in the description box below. And now without further ado, let's transform this little robot guy. Alright, now that that's over with, I just want to preface this with just wait until you see this guy done and moving. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. Alright, now I'm just taking off all the parts that I don't want, using my Excel blade, cutting that seam, and removing his head and arms. Then after successfully decapitating him, I found out that the piece that moves his tongue is just floating there in the polyfill. So this is kind of annoying. I use some epoxy sculpt to anchor it to the bottom piece, and it holds it in place so I can sculpt around it. It did take me a day longer because I had to wait for the epoxy sculpt to cure for 24 hours, but whatever, it worked just fine, and the epoxy sculpt hardened to basically cement. And there we go. Once that is hard, we'll be ready to sculpt. Alright, now that that is completely secure, we're ready to start bulking out the head. I'm using aluminum foil, and this should be just fine because the wires are completely concealed and protected with the rubber casing around them. If you have exposed wires or something, this can be a problem because aluminum foil is extremely conductive. But anyway, let's go ahead and remove those arms and secure that bulked out head. Alright, now for this project, I feel like using some eyeballs that I didn't make. These are made by techoptics.com. These are extremely realistic, prosthetic grade human eyes. And then we're going to sculpt him with paper clay, of course. And the reason the eyes are two different colors is because they actually sent me some of their old ones that they weren't using with the previous order I had made. So, whatever. I also think it adds to his character. Now I just want to put the clay on first after I sort of hollow out the eye sockets with the eyeballs themselves, and then I'm going to push the eyes in and make sure they're looking in the right direction. I don't exactly nail this. They're not perfect, but I was going a little fast and I didn't really notice that they weren't perfectly lined up, but whatever, they look fine I think. Now I'm just going to start adding my paper clay all over the aluminum foil. And the reason I'm using paper clay is because it is air dry and it is lightweight. I'm not using polymer clay because obviously I don't want to stick all those cheap plastic parts in the oven, and paper clay is much lighter than, say, epoxy sculpt or something like that. I don't want to weigh him down too much. And this is actually the first time I've ever touched paper clay, and I really like it. It performs very similarly to epoxy sculpt. The only thing is that it dries very fast, but I love how I can use water to smooth the surface and reactivate the clay while I'm using it. I opted for paper clay instead of regular air dry clay because it's supposed to crack less and not shrink. Now I'm just going in with my Explorer tool to detail the eyelid, and we're going to go ahead and repeat that process on the other side. Now I'm going to work on his chin and bottom lip area, get that on. And as you can see, the paper clay smooths out very well. The different pieces are blending in pretty effortlessly. Now I'm just putting this little flattened snake of clay right there, and I'm going to carve out some teeth, and then we will place his upper lip on top of these. Once his teeth are looking pretty good, I shaped out his lip, and I'm going to put that on and blend it in. And this is starting to look very interesting right now. And I'm going to bring out his cheekbones a little bit, and I'm going to be honest with you, I looked at no reference photos for his head. I just made this up as I went. And when I tell you I wasn't trusting the process, I really wasn't trusting the process. Now I just want to add some more clay around the sides of his head, and my plan was to add clay to the back of his head after his face was dry, but I actually ran out of time because this stuff takes a pretty long time to dry. It actually takes 1 to 3 days to completely dry, so I never really had the chance to add that clay to the back of his head. But if I had more time, I would definitely do that. So keep that in mind when you're planning out your projects with this stuff. It takes like 2 to 3 days to dry. Maybe even longer if your piece is extra thick. Now, one of my favorite things that I like to do with this kind of clay is press in any details with whatever tools and then brush on some water to smooth them over. I love doing this, and paper clay works beautifully with this right here. Like, everything just melted together and looked really good. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and give him a nice angry brow. Now, while paper clay does take 2 to 3 days to completely dry from the inside out, the surface does dry relatively quickly while you're still working on it. So you do kind of have to pace yourself. You can't take too much time adding detail or anything like that. And that's not my favorite thing in the world, but you know, once you get used to it, it is perfectly fine. And right now I'm really getting Baby Sinclair from Dinosaurs, but like really angry. Now some more details and water smoothing. I want to add a bunch of wrinkles to this guy. I think I'm going for like Christmas goblin. Here, now let's work on his nose. And that nose wasn't satisfying me, so I'm just going to make it pointy with this pointy teardrop shape I'm adding to the tip and blending in. All right, we're going to take a quick break from our video to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're a big business, a small business, a freelance designer, or sculptor like me, Squarespace has everything you need to showcase your brand, sell your products, and more. I've been using Squarespace for over 4 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. Their products are so streamlined and so easy to use that managing my website, aceofclay.com, is truly a breeze. Some of my favorite features include the portfolios and galleries. In my line of work, I have to show my art to the world, and Squarespace's beautiful portfolios allow me to do just that. I opened my online store where I sell stickers, posters, plushes, and more, and Squarespace makes everything so easy. I can track my inventory, print shipping labels, I get notifications when something sells, and everything I need is right there in the platform. You can even sell digital downloads. They really have everything you need to start selling online. And at this day and age, if you're an online business, you've got to have a social media presence, and Squarespace allows you to integrate all of your social media platforms into any page of your website. So if everything I said sounds good, head on over to squarespace.com, start a free trial, and when you're ready to go live, go to squarespace.com/aceofclay to save 10% on your purchase of a website or domain using my code aceofclay. Thanks again, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Now back to our sculpture. All right, now we're just going to blend things out a little bit around the mouth and add some nasolabial folds. This is just a snake of clay that I'm blending in with my spoon tool and making it look real good. It's almost like the wet paintbrush does all of the blending for you. That is how satisfying it is. Like, you just have to roughly blend in your shapes and whatever, but then you just swipe over it with that wet paintbrush and it's just chef's kiss. Now I'm just adding some pores to the tip of his nose with a ball stylus, blending some other pieces in, and then I want to bring out his cheekbone a little bit more on this side, so I'm adding that little triangle shaped piece of clay. Alright, let's get a little closer and really get up in this guy's business and draw some more wrinkles. Don't those eyes look awesome? I swear, Tech Optics has some of the nicest, most realistic human eyes on the market. They ain't cheap, but they're really good. I think the cheapest pair is like $32 and like the most expensive can be like $100, or then if you get up into the custom stuff, it's even more, but totally worth it in my opinion. Now I'm just using this pore tool from kenstools.com to add a pore texture to the cheeks. And then let's make his chin a little bit bigger. Now let's smooth out that nice jawline we gave him. And for the last step, I'm going to pop on some pointy ears. And we're just going to refine things a little bit, add some more wrinkles and crevices here and there. And then for his tongue, I'm using this air dry paper clay delight stuff, which is like a very soft, amazing, super sculpty ultralight type of clay for his tongue, because it is extra light and it is amazing. And I want to use this stuff for every single project going forward. It feels so nice. I'm just texturing his tongue with that cheap brush, and then I'm drawing the line down the middle, and then I'm going to press it onto that piece that's sticking out. Just wait until you see this guy move. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And just like that, his head is done. Now we can work on his arms. To make the arms, I'm just going to tape on some wire for the finger armature and then sculpt around it. Of course, one finger at a time. And yes, he's going to have 4 fingers, like pretty much all of my sculptures. After covering the palm and the back of the hand, we're just going to add some snakes of clay for the fingers and shape those out, add some knuckles and some wrinkles. And we're going to repeat this process 7 more times. Using the front of my spoon tool, I'm going to press out his nail. And once the fingers are done, we're just going to add some clay down that arm and get everything smoothed out. And I'm going to make his other arm off camera. And once he's completely dry, after 1 to 2 days, 1 to 3 days, this is actually only 24 hours, and he is still not completely dry, but I ain't got that kind of time. I gotta paint him. So we're gonna start by painting him this beige color, get that all over everything, and then go in with a dark brown wash to highlight his details. And after this guy dried, I didn't have too many problems with cracks. The only areas were the ones where I pressed in really deep lines, like those frown lines that I'm washing right now, and the smile lines. And the reason the ear is cracked is because I tried to add the clay to the back of his head and I kind of cracked it off, so I glue that on later. That's not the clay's fault, but I'm kind of thinking these are like newbie mistakes, because again, I've never used this stuff before. So I think the more I use it, the more comfortable I'll get and the better the drying process will be. Now I'm just going to paint his teeth. As you saw there, I added a lighter wash to the raised areas of his face. Now I'm going to paint his tongue. And the surface of this clay is extremely dry. Like, I felt like the paint was drying while I was putting it on, if that makes sense. But it was fine. Once I got that first layer on, the rest of the paint just acted normally. Add some redness under his eyes, dry brush some white on the tongue, make it look like he needs a tongue scraper. The tongue looks so good, it's hilarious. Now I'm using some triple thick glossy varnish to make the tongue, teeth, and certain areas of his face shiny and dewy, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, now for the final step, once all that paint is dry, I'm gonna add some hair. We're gonna give him a nice little beard and sideburns, and we're just going to use some synthetic wool and Fabri-Tac to create that. I'm putting the bottom of the beard on backwards so that when it flips over, it looks nice and neat. And then we're just gonna add all this hair. Try not to go crazy from it sticking to my fingers. Now for some crazy eyebrows. Now I cut the hat and stole it from the old elf guy, and I'm just gonna glue that on with some more Fabri-Tac. This is gonna conceal the exposed aluminum foil. And I also added some hair to the back of his head to, again, conceal that aluminum foil that shouldn't be there. Now we're going to give him a quick trim with some crappy scissors that I really need to replace. As you can see, get those edges looking a little more uneven and not so neat, like that, just cutting into it. And now I'm going to reattach his arms and screw those in. And this guy just looks hilarious. I'm sorry. This is the craziest thing I think I've ever made. There we go. Now say it with me. And he's done. My modified elf robot thing is complete. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know, I think it's hysterical. What's really funny is that the frames per second that my camera is picking up make the tongue look like it's moving a lot slower, but it's actually like really, really, really fast. So I don't know, that's kind of funny. So again, let me know what you think in the comments. This honestly came out way better than I expected it to. That paper clay was very enjoyable to work with. We did get a couple cracks, but I think they're from a newbie issue. And I really like that super lightweight one that I used for his tongue. It's actually still squishy. I wouldn't really say flexible, but it's definitely squishy, kind of like a rigid foam. So I don't know. Again, let me know what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok. I'm at Ace of Clay. Join my Facebook group, Snakes of Clay. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.